I would like to welcome you to day one of Elevate and Empower the Vibrant Living Summit. And I am so happy that you are here. And I am excited to share with you today one of my friends, Shiloh Minor. Shiloh is a well-loved wife and a mom of two small boys. And her passion is she helps women create soul satisfying marriages without couple therapy using her proven real love method. She is so excited and passionate about guiding good women to break generational cycles of being emotionally neglected and taken for granted. She is honored and feels privileged to help determine women how to receive the love and support and affection that they truly need. She loves gardening, a sauna, and good conversation, and she lives in a rural Nova Scotia and takes pleasures in the simple things in life. So join me in welcoming Shiloh as her and I have a conversation together. Well, hello again, Shiloh. I am so happy to be here with you. I absolutely love what you're doing to help women with one of the most important things in their life, and it is their marriage and relationships. And I I love this title because you're telling me we actually are the ones that are possibly sabotaging our marriage?
Of course not. We always know what we're doing in relationships.
It's not us.
You're right.
So, what are some of the ways that we actually are contributing to the problems?
Yeah, so it doesn't mean it's all our fault. It just means that there's a lot of typical patterns. I've got 5 typical patterns that I have run, that my clients run, that pretty
Mhm.
much every woman I've spoken with says, oh, yeah, I do that. And we don't realize that this contributes to the breakdown in our relationship. So the first one and the biggest one is people pleasing.
Mhm.
People pleasing is huge. Do you want me to list all 5?
Yeah, list them and then we'll talk about
We'll
them.
go through it. Okay, so people pleasing is the first. Second one is pursuing, going towards that person. The third one is self neglecting. So we're putting ourselves last. We're never, we're not feeling good. We're falling apart because we're at the bottom of the list. The next one is projecting, where we think we know what other people are doing, what their motivations are, what their thoughts are, and we add that to our whole mental story of things.
Mhm.
And the last one is over communicating. So we think communication is everything, but we can sometimes overdo it.
Okay. So that's all 5. So people pleasing, how does that look?
So people pleasing is when we put our preferences, comfort, ease, things that are important to us, we put those less than your comfort, ease, and things that are important to you. And we do this as a matter of habit with our husbands. We go, well, he didn't like that, so I can't do that.
Mhm.
Well, he likes the room cold, so we have to do the temperature he likes. Well, he doesn't, like this kind of food. And even though it makes me feel good to eat it, I'm not going to cook it because he won't eat it.
Mhm.
So we, in all these different areas, mental, physical, emotional, we say, it's more important to me that you are pleased than that I get what I need.
Mhm. When we change who we are too.
Completely. Oh, I don't like the sound of your voice. Well, I'm going to take voice lessons now. Like we'll
Yes.
contort ourselves in every way possible because of this compulsion. Truly, it's a compulsion to people please because um if you talk to women about it, it'll be like, "Oh, well, isn't that love? Like isn't that how you love someone? You give them what they want, you please them."
Yes,
Um but
that
it's
would
not
be,
love when you feel compelled to do it and you
yeah,
resent doing it. And then you
right.
actually hate the person more. So this is where the sabotage comes in is we think
Mhm.
I'm being loving, I'm being loving. But as we're doing that, we're building resentment and contempt and disrespect for that person
Yep,
who we're doing it for.
absolutely. There's a difference between I can put a blanket on because you like it colder and then sitting there with my blanket on going and all of the things that I'm I've almost been married 40 years. And so I love this because I've experienced so much of it, and I wished I'd had you when I was younger. But the things that I learned is that, I grew up in the South. I married someone from New York. I talked funny according to them. And I had to change because they kept making fun of me. And so, but Southern roots was part of who I was. And so it was every time I would like, "Arr," and it's just like, who said that the Southern accent's wrong? And so I totally get this, and we do it in so many ways, and afraid to really even be ourselves because it most likely started before our marriage. It most likely
Oh, yeah.
started in our childhood, and all those kind of things, because people pleasing, I call it the approval addict. They're trying to be making sure that they're approved of at all times and avoid conflict at any cost. And that is so funny that that's number one sabotage.
Yeah. It really cuts off at the base what you're trying to build in your relationship. And like you said, it goes into all of our lives. It
Yeah.
started when we were children. It's this whole way of being that's being nice and being accommodating, being
Mhm.
friendly, so people will like us. But one of the big paradigm shifts I help women to get is it's not really as important if he likes you. It's important that you like him.
Mm,
Because if you stop liking him, the relationship is over.
yeah.
So if you're doing things that cause you to like him less, that's not helpful.
Yeah. All right. Number two.
Number two is pursuing. So pursuing is when we say, we should go on a date. We should do this. Why don't we do this? Why aren't we doing this more? How come we don't talk enough? How come you don't talk to me anymore? Why? You're coming towards him with this energy of like, what's the problem? Let's go. Let's do something. And it seems natural, right? Like if you're not getting what you need, go find out about it. Go find out why. But because the energy is this coming at and give me more and it's not enough, it actually causes him to retreat more. And this is a common pattern that happens. A man will pursue you in the beginning. And then once you're married or once you settle in or once you have kids, his energy will shift towards protecting and providing and not pursuing you. And this for women is a big letdown. It's a shock to the system. We're like, where did he go? It's scary. And so then we switch and start pursuing him. And whether it's through people pleasing or complaining or asking or interrogating, we're just on him, on him, on him. And he just doesn't understand it. He doesn't notice that his energy has done this, first of all. Didn't do it on purpose. Doesn't mean he doesn't like you
Mhm.
anymore. None of that stuff. Um, but it creates this activation in us, which switches the whole energy in the relationship. And now you're always chasing him and he's always running away,
Yeah.
which is very painful. They call it the pursuer distancer dynamic. And it's what so many of us women fall
Yep.
into. Um, Go ahead.
I was just thinking, if I was to step up to you and get really close to your face, you're automatically going to take a step back. And it isn't that you don't like me, but it's just natural response as you step towards someone and get in their space. And also, I'm coming across with the impression that somehow you're not doing enough. And if we get that long enough, we quit trying. And we get the absolute opposite results. A funny story. I remember one time my husband said, I am not talking about this. And I go, yes, we are. And so he went and laid down on the bed, and I went and sat on top of his chest and said, I am not leaving till we talk about this. Nevertheless, he won. We did not talk about it, which is probably a good thing, but I am so after, like, this is, yeah, 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 and it's just like, it did not work at all. Made the dynamics worse. And so, but we fall into that desperation of needing to be loved, and deciding how he's supposed to love me, which is probably part of your other things if we get ahead of that. So anyway, good one. What's number three?
So we have people pleasing, we have pursuing, and we have self neglecting as number three.
Mm.
So it's kind of the combination of people pleasing and pursuing means there's no time left for you. So
Mhm.
if you have to make everybody else happy, this would be your husband and anybody else in your home. If you have to make sure they get all their favorite foods, favorite environment, perfect clothing, whatever, that all their preferences are met, and you're pursuing these people for attention or validation, there's absolutely no energy or time left for you and what you need.
Mhm.
There's none. And this is something that, again, we do it to get love. We think, okay, if everybody else then receives all these things from me, they'll turn around and give it back.
Mm.
Why wouldn't they? They'll turn around and give it back, and they don't.
Mm-mm.
They go, thanks, that makes my life easy, and they move along. And this is something that I think comes partly from the mothering instinct when you have infants, and there is a period where those kids come first or they die. Like you got to feed them when you need to sleep. You have to do all these things. And women have this incredible capacity to sacrifice for their infants
Yeah.
and to do that. And it's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
But what I think gets happened is we get locked into that mode
Mm.
long beyond when it is required, when we have teenagers and still treating them like infants. And now the husband is also a child who needs everything done for him or he's not going to be okay. And it's something I emphasize over and over and over again is that you must put yourself first.
Yeah. That sounds like selfish.
Right. Bad
Mm.
people put themselves first because I can't be a bad, selfish woman and everybody will disapprove of me and say I'm so selfish. No, I
Oh, and
know.
then we get resentful.
Yeah.
I remember one time I'm slamming pans and cabinets in the kitchen and
Hmm.
everybody's avoiding me. And my husband goes, "Everything okay?" Yes.
No,
No,
everything is not okay.
things are not okay. But we become martyrs and
Yes.
all of that. And so rather than saying, I want this, and nobody will ever give it if we don't ever say what we want and actually owning what we want. So good one. All right, number 4.
So this is projecting. So projecting is when we make assumptions about our husband's thoughts, motives, beliefs. So a really, really common trap as women is our husband will do something that hurts our feelings. He
Mhm.
forgot something, he didn't show up when he said he would. He, somehow dropped the ball. And we go, that's because he doesn't care about me.
Right.
That's because he doesn't care. And this destroys us because if our husband doesn't care about us, what is the point of any of it? This was all a big mistake.
Mhm.
We're just ready to fly to Mexico and never come back. And one thing I've been really meditating on lately is I believe all women go to this place, even when they love their
Absolutely.
husbands, and it's great, like 90% of the time. When we get our feelings hurt really badly, there is a part of our brain that just goes off and tells us it's over.
Yep.
And it's devastating and we feel devastated in that moment and we feel also ashamed and guilty that you're thinking this about your husband who actually you love and don't want to leave. But if we understood that this is a knee-jerk instinctual reaction, but it's not true. It's not because he doesn't care. It's not because he doesn't respect you. I mean, occasionally there are emotionally abusive relationships. I'm actually going to do a training on this soon because there are some men who will treat you poorly regardless.
Yes.
The irony here is they still love you according to themselves. So it's not even really about does he care? It's does this person have the skills to treat me the way I want to be treated? Have
Yeah.
I communicated and asked for those things? Have I been thankful of the things I have received? And this is where our projecting of why is he doing it? What's he thinking? It's because he doesn't care. It's because he believes women are less. It's because he thinks he's important. We feed all these ideas into his head that then offend us. We hurt our own feelings with
Mhm.
our stories about what's in someone else's head is so destructive to relationships.
Yeah. All of these tips are not in someone who is actually in an abusive relationship all of them will help expose the abusive
Yes,
relationship.
I love
And
how you
so,
put that.
yes,
Yes.
so It is not that any of these are going to cause women to stay in them. But I used to give different marriage advice until I understood how rampant abusive relationships are that women are in, and they stay in because they're doing all of these things. And if they would stop and put themselves first and actually look at things, they would be able to get clarity on what they are actually in as well. So,
That's a very good point. And that's when I say to women that when you do the things I show you and your a relationship is not abusive, your husband will very quickly respond to you in positive ways, almost like within weeks, like a couple of weeks. And if you're in a very unhealthy relationship, he will respond negatively to the
yes,
things. He'll do the opposite of what a healthy man will do. And they're quite a different
yes,
thing. People think they're close together, but they're not. They're quite different.
yes. So, just wanted to make that clear because I am encountering more and more of them as I work with women, and I'm sure you are too. And it is the same advice. I love it that the same advice will work. It'll either work or it'll expose. So, number 5,
Number 5, I've lost track of my list now.
over communicating.
Thank you. So number five is over communicating. And this one is nuanced because some people under communicate, but over communicating is when we have a concern or we have a problem in our relationship. And so we bring it up, right? We don't get what we want. So we bring it up again. We don't get what we want. So we bring it up again and we bring it up again and we bring it up again. And what we're doing is believing that if we just communicated it better, that would be make the difference. All of a sudden he'd get it, right? But for men particularly, actions speak louder than words. So they will hear talking and then they'll see that nothing changed. And to them, that will register as not a very important issue because it didn't really impact life at all. Like it didn't impact his day to day. He's
Mhm.
not going to remember that because it hasn't impacted, like the rubber has not met the road with the
Mhm.
issue you're talking about. And so what I always teach women is that you have to put action to your communications. And people think, oh, I have to leave or I have to make ultimatums. It does not have to be that dramatic. Often those things are only to be brought out when you are actually ready to leave. If you want to leave, then you can give a genuine ultimatum. But when it's just that you're not feeling heard, you're not feeling like your message is getting across, it's time to think about what can I do differently here? How can I shift this dynamic by what I do, by the actions I take, and then see how he adapts to it? Because when you think about it, our words are really cheap if we don't put any action to it.
Can you give me an example of something that a woman has been through?
Yeah. So a good example would be, when my husband has lost something, he yells and screams and has a big hissy about it, and I have to run around and help him find stuff. And I hate it because he's rude to me and he's disrespectful. And I tell him, don't talk to me that way. I've told him, like,
Mhm.
or I tell him, put your stuff away or put it here. And I told him so many times, I don't like it. I don't like being spoken to that way. Why doesn't he stop? Well, you keep helping him exactly
Mhm.
the way you did when he was rude.
Mhm.
So don't help him if he's rude. Just stop
Mhm.
doing it and just stop. And this is so simple and so hard because it goes against the people pleaser. It goes against the
Mhm.
self neglecting. It goes against this pursuing and being there for him every single time he needs you. But it's the self respect and the self restraint to go, this is really uncomfortable that I'm sitting here and I'm not helping because it goes against all my habits and instincts. But I am communicating with my body that he can't talk to me that way
Yep.
instead of just with words.
That's good. We often contribute to the way we're being treated by allowing it to continue in those kind of things. And it's been proven that we can, one of my husband's things is I'll be telling him a story and he'll go, but I'm in the middle. He goes, but what's the point? And I'm like, the point is I'm telling you a story, and the story is the point. It's just like, and so they don't always hear us. They don't always. They do have the ability to completely tune us out when we are over communicating and finding ways to take action. I love all all of that. The five of these together are just really transformative and simple. I know you have a whole bunch of other stuff in your programs. How would someone get in touch with you, and what would that look like for them?
Right. So I offer a free connection assessment session. So basically, you can reach out to me on social media, or I'll have the link in the show notes to book this session if you just want to talk. And you book the session, and it's an opportunity for me to help show you which parts you're missing, right? Where is it that you could take action differently? How can you transform this relationship without your husband showing up, without your husband going to couples therapy? Right? So we have that conversation. And then at the end of it, you can say, okay, I want to work with you, or I want to do one of your programs. And I'll tell you, what those options are and how it works.
Mhm.
Or you can say, hey, I want to go and try this on my own and see if it works. And I'll say, okay, give it a shot. It's very simple. It's basically, I have done the work to see the big picture that
Right,
individual women can't see for themselves.
right,
And
right.
also, if I think your relationship is abusive, I will also point you towards those supports and say, look, I see this as a more complex situation. You want to be tread a little more carefully because things can get activated by
Yes,
these skills, but I will not leave you empty handed and on your own to figure it out.
right. And so you have a gift for people that are watching today.
Yeah. Yes, so I have a full guide of these 5 sabotages we do. And so not only do I describe what they are with examples, I let you know why we do them, where this all comes from. It's not your fault. This is very
Mhm.
standard instinctual behavior for us. And then also what you can do differently. And so
Okay.
that guide gives you absolutely everything in there. It's free. You can download it off the site that will be in the notes. And I have another gift actually. I have
Mm,
a program called Happily Married Woman,
mhm.
which includes my entire real love framework: how to create, sustain love, how to get more passion and romance and support in your relationship. And I'm going to offer the viewers here 20% off. So I'll put a coupon
Mhm.
code for the month that will be active.
Awesome. That is fabulous. Thank you, Shiloh, so much for all that you are doing to help women, because families are the stability of our communities and our nation. And whether we realize it or not, as building strong families is vital. So I love what you are doing, and thank you for being sharing on this Women's Summit. And I'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much, Donna. I appreciate the opportunity. I completely agree with you that we as women have this amazing healing capacity. And when we do this work for ourselves, it affects our whole world.
Yes. So I'm curious, which of those five resonated the most with you? As I shared, I could relate to all five of them. So below where you find this video, the link to gain access to your free gifts will be where you find this video. So get your PDF and your 20% off coupon and schedule a call with Shiloh so that you can receive the love that you deserve from the relationship that you're in. Until next time, this is Donna saying, I believe in you and live and love vibrantly. Bye for now.